Hey everybody, quick audio note here. The beginning minute of the podcast has some static that we corrected, and then it comes back in around 6 minutes to 8 minutes, and then after that it's smooth sailing. So sorry about that, and enjoy the podcast.
The nations of Drudgian have been locked in combat for generations. Can one brilliant commander rise above the fray and lead their faction to victory on an island with limited space and resources? You aim to find out. So do you think that the nations of Drudgian, who have been locked in combat for generations, all found this island, and this is like or are all the nations on the island? I think they found the island, right, Jake?
That makes no sense, I think.
So they're fighting a constant war in their homes, and they're fighting a constant war away from their home. It's not even a vacation. So that's too bad for these guys. No wonder they all are so twisted and crazy looking, you know? Today on the board, boys. Wroth.
IRA. That's not how you spell it.
Oh, you know. Well, if you take out the W, then it's yes, Wroth. Wroth IRA. That's pretty funny, Rob.
They should retheme that.
Yeah.
This would be way better if it was just people murdering each other over the stock market.
Well, it would be funny if it was a finance game with these fashions.
They all have monocles.
They're all wearing suits
and tie clips.
All right, Cam, make it.
Make it.
Yeah, make the game.
Make that game.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were saying to make it make the beginning of
the area control.
Does.
Yeah, the area control finance game.
The area, Wroth IRA, the game of area control, or the game of finance with fantasy races.
Yeah, that you can only contribute a small amount to every year.
Well, I mean,
maximum number of points you can earn each turn.
And then if you have too many points, you actually can't contribute at all, and you have to leave the game.
You honestly can contribute quite a bit, considering you get to do it all post-tax, and then you never pay taxes on the proceeds, which is, pretty cool that, the government lets us do even that, considering how much they love to tax us, right?
I mean, you already got taxed on it.
Yeah, I know, but then you don't get taxed on the growth, which is incredible. If you're putting money into your Roth when you're 20 years old, that's a lot of growth you're going to get.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Board Boys Podcast, Season 17, Episode 1. The boys are back. We're all here, and we played Wroth from Chip Theory Games. This is your board boy, Psychedelic Rob.
It's your boy, Finance Bro, TK.
This is your boy, All My Troops Are Always Dead, Jake.
And this is your boy, Ooblock, or Oobleck, or whatever my guys are called. Remember Bartholomew Cubbins in the Oobleck from Dr. Seuss?
Nope.
You know what I'm talking about? That's one of his album tracks, if you will.
I feel like you guys were kind of like the Uruk-hai from Lord of the Rings.
I think I was the goblins. We were like the horde. We were there was a ton of us, and we were just kind of swarming the place. I guess that's kind of how the Uruk-hai are, though, too. That's Tolkien orcs are kind of vast in number, right?
Yeah, he just pulls them out of the ground.
Yeah. So that's correct. Kind of like he's growing them like turnips.
Yeah,
but I guess there's a lot of them, so it's more like what grows really fast, zucchini. They're kind of like the zucchini of the fantasy races. The Uruk-hai.
Aren't they fallen elves?
Well, they had to fall pretty deep if they're under the ground.
The original ones were, but the Uruk-hai, Saruman was, and maybe I'm going to get some of this wrong, but Saruman, I feel was Tolkien's take on the Industrial Revolution, kind of, because he's cutting down trees and wasting all the resources, and he's making the Uruk-hai are I think genetically engineered, kind of, and you just see him dig them out of the ground. I don't know how he made them exactly, because that's probably in the Similarian maybe somewhere. And I tried reading that, and I couldn't make it through it. It read like a textbook.
What if the Uruk-hai were actually, and Saruman were actually just Tolkien's take on evil wizards and orcs?
It could be, but I think it's supposed to be the Industrial Revolution.
Every time I watch somebody do a retrospective on a piece of fiction or a video game or something that I like, they're always talking about and this is what the designers or the writer thinks about this, and I'm I just thought it was about a murder mystery.
Yeah, Cam doesn't like to. You don't like to dig too deep into the deep meanings. I do not either. Actually,
I kind of do, and I'm the one on the podcast who's philosophically speaking, but I like to do that about things in life and how games work and things like that. But I don't really search for deeper meanings in media.
So let's I'm going to talk a little bit about a trip I took. Well, a couple of trips. So we had probably rapid fire podcasts where we had random groupings for a while. We're all back now. But since then, I took a road trip and played a lot of small games and went to a conference and ran a game night. And I randomly showed up, not randomly, I plan on doing it, but it was a meetup at the Boardroom in Washington, D.C. So if you've ever been to the Boardroom, or if you're in D.C. and you're looking for a game night on a Wednesday, it's in the Arlington area.
That's just the
Boardroom
that's their
rocks.
standard game night, Wednesday nights.
Yeah, they just
It
have
wasn't- they didn't have like a every month we meet up on this day or
Yes, it's every Wednesday. So
Okay.
when I travel to big cities and like I have an off night or whatever, a lot of times I'll try to figure out what night I can go find a game night somewhere and just meet some people. And 2 years ago, I had found this one and I went and I actually recognized some people when I came back this time. And this is a cool place.
Wait, is this the same place where you played with Cam? Like Bizarro Cam, or was that in Portland?
Oh yeah, Bizarro Cam.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
I think that was Portland.
I don't remember this.
I forgot
at all.
about Bizarro Cam.
I'm pretty sure it had a big
You
beard.
had a picture of him. You're like, Cam, guess which one was you?
Yeah.
And
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have no memory of.
Hey everybody, this is where we had some audio technical difficulties. Basically, I mentioned I have no memory of this cam that they speak of, and then I talk about how awesome the Boardroom is and how I drank the Princess Peach beer and it was delicious, and I can't really do beer that hard anymore or I feel really, really bad. And then Cam is about to say, everybody feels like that. Also, there's just a few more seconds of bad audio here.
I mean, whose body is not like kind of falling apart in weird ways yet? Jake, probably. You're the youngest, right?
oh, I'm definitely falling apart in lots
Okay.
of ways. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think I have some kind of inner ear thing that like constantly has my head kind of swimming. I thought it was like a serious issue when it first started happening, but I've been dealing with it for a few years now, and
Do you have vertigo?
I get like all the time. Like I'll take like a weird step or like something that's changed in my life is like I'll watch like a TV show or be looking at something on my phone, and then like something will like shoot right at your point of view or something like that, or there'll be like like a guy will be like running, and then all of a sudden it'll like show like a cliff or something and like look straight down, and I'll be like, that'll like get my body being like, hey, you're on like you're going over a cliff, or there's something coming right at you kind of feelings. I think it's all inner ear related. And
You
I
should
have
go
not
to
gone to a
physical
doctor.
therapy.
I have not gone
You
to a
should go to
doctor
physical
about
therapy.
it.
Yeah.
I checked out my heart. I checked out my brain, and they were like, "These are fine." And I was like, "Oh, it's probably not that big of a deal."
Yeah. I mean, you don't need anything else.
I have a couple of games I want to talk about. I'm going to briefly go over what I played at the Boardroom. I showed up, cool dude waiting for games. I ordered some food. We played this game called
Wait, you're the cool dude?
No, the other dude is cool.
Okay.
I'm me.
Got it.
So results may vary.
Got it.
We played Slambo, which Slambo has been the game of my vacation time all the time. We took it camping, all the things. This is a small box game from All Play. It's one of their $9 games in that size box. It is 2 to 4 players, best at 2. Its weight is 1.0 out of 5. And Cam, you'll like this. The designer is Ryan the Boulder, in quotation marks, Richford. How do you get quotes on your name on BGG?
If he just did that for himself, then that's not as cool. But like, it's sick if they call him the Boulder. Like people actually call him that.
Yeah, like that's like he didn't nickname himself the Boulder.
Yeah, like somebody else nicknamed you the Boulder, and people call you that.
Yeah.
Do you think he's called the Boulder because he's big and wrestles, or do you think he's called the Boulder because he's from Colorado?
I don't know. No image available, so
Yeah.
we'll have to figure it out. Maybe I'll see him at Gen Con at the All Play area.
Just look for the biggest man.
You need to stay balanced as a sumo wrestler using careful hand management or get slamboed. And we actually played like a quick hand of this because I locked us out of our computer for recording. So you guys got to play 2 hands of Slambo. So
And it wasn't even your idea because like you were going to talk about it already. I saw the box and I was like, yo, can we play Slambo?
Yeah, man. Slambo is pretty awesome. Takes about 5 minutes to play. Basically, you have a card on the table. It's a 5, and it says it can go between 1 and 10. I play a card. If I play a 3, I say 8, and then Cam goes. And if he plays a -4, he says 4. And then if Jake plays a 7, it goes to 11, and that's above 10, so he gets Haji.
Shame.
So he gets
Shame.
slamboed.
Yeah.
He earns Haji by getting
Yeah.
slamboed.
So think about 2 sumo wrestlers pushing each other in the ring, And when you push the other person out, you Slambo them and they get Haji.
That's actually what they call it in Japan too. Is when somebody gets taken out in a sumo fight, they call it a Slambo. That's where that comes from. Is the ancient Japan.
Yeah, so that's really all there is to it. It is just super quick, easy. You can pull it out real fast, and it got played a ton. It was a favorite of all the family and things when on our vacation trip.
I liked it. It was fun.
You can also play with 4 players too, which is kind of like it's kind of like Hungry Hippos in that, you got four big guys trying to be the best,
Push each other out of the ring.
Yeah.
That's true. It's like the Royal Rumble.
Thematically,
of,
it breaks down
sumo.
with 4 players. Though.
It's
There's
true.
two
And then with
sumo.
4 players, then they add in these extra cards that have some special rules. Like you can do like a reverse, like an Uno.
A Royal Rumble sumo match would be sweet.
Yeah, man.
Sure, try to get one of those guys over the top rope.
Yeah. I mean, who was the sumo guy?
Yokozuna. They
Yeah.
did that to him.
Yeah.
I think that happened.
It only took like 4 or 5 guys, I think.
Yeah.
Remember his signature move was he dragged them over to the
And just sit
belt
on
buckle
them.
and then
Wasn't that guy's
sit
name?
on 'em.
Wasn't the guy's name?
Yokozuna.
His name was Rikishi, right?
That was a different guy.
That's a different
There's
guy.
2 different sumos in the WWF.
Wasn't Rikishi... Or,
WWE.
He was
Samoan.
yeah, there you go.
Oh, Rikishi was Samoa.
Yeah. Don't get them confused, Campbell.
Sorry.
They're both large, though.
Yeah.
And then after that, we played Praga Caput Regni, which a guy brought, and that game is still super fun. We've done a podcast episode on that.
That's a game that I really, really enjoy and only remember 60% of how to play it, but I enjoy it anyways.
Yeah, it's so good.
Honestly, for me, Praga is like riding a bike, and I've played it many times, but it's hard for me to forget how to do that because there's only 6 things you can do.
No, I know what all the actions do. I don't understand how you score points. We don't need to go into that, but
Yeah,
I push buttons.
You score points in all the ways.
Yeah, that's a point salad.
And they were teaching one new person, and one person had kind of played like once before, and I'm like, gold windows, eggs, and just go ham, man. Get some resources.
It's fun.
It is fun.
If you're doing the castles, like the towers, like that's when you have to get like thinky about like, what type of stuff you're collecting to like move along that thing. Everything else is very easy points. Like just building stuff gets you points, having eggs and going up the...
So then I played 2 more small games. One is just Rebel Princess, which we've talked about a ton, but that is also one that just has supreme staying power everywhere I go. It's an easy throw in the bag and teach to people.
I just picked up the expansion too.
Yeah, oh yeah, the
Yeah, it's
expansion's like, even though I keep shuffling it up, the expansion stuff still keeps popping up to the top. And we did flip over one, and it was A that has no rule, and you just pass 3 to the left. And I'm like, nah, we're doing a different card.
Yeah, good call. Just throw that card away.
Yeah, like that card. I'm not going to put it under the insert in
Yeah,
the
there you
box,
go,
so
there you
like that one doesn't exist.
We play a lot of 3-round.
Or just play it shorter.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's completely
It's totally fine.
legit.
Yeah.
There's some interesting ones. I finally became Rebel of the Ball.
Oh,
It
shot
was-
the moon.
I shot the moon. It was pretty tight. Just some of the stuff that comes up in that game is just, it's so wild with all the rules. But the one I want to really talk about, it's called Startups. And it is from Oink Games. And it says,
It's older, right?
yeah, it says it plays in 20 minutes. It took us like an hour to play it. I don't know. Like, I was learning it, and some of the people were kind of thinky in it, but this game is absolutely wild. And I feel like if you have some buds, I think this is a game you could play over and over and over again with the same group and just get like really mad with each other. There are basically a deck of cards. There's 5 5s, 6 6s, all the way up to 10 10s. You shuffle it up. You take 5 cards out. There is a token for every one of those suits. Suits is the 5s, 6s, 7, 8s. On your turn, you draw a card from the top of the deck, or you take a card that's face up in the table. So at the beginning of the game, there's just a deck of cards, so I would draw one. Then I have to discard one or play it in front of me. If I discard it and don't play it in front of me, then Campbell, if on his turn, would either have to put $1 on that card, and then he could draw one from the top, or he takes that card. If there were 3 cards out there and he wanted to draw a new one, he'd have to put $1 on each of them. And everyone starts with $10. As soon as you play a card in front of you, if you have the most of that card face up in front of you, you take the token. for now on, any face-up card of that suit is invisible to you. You don't have to pay on it to draw from the deck, and you can't take it. The game ends as soon as the deck runs out, and then you do the majorities. So for the majorities, you just and you always have a 3-card hand. And at the end of the game, you pop down the 3 cards that were in your hand. So that's kind of like the secret sauce of you don't know if what you're winning. And then you go and do the majorities. And let's say we were doing 9s and I had 5 9s and Tim was trying to fight me for it and he got 4 9s. You would take 4 of your $1 chips and flip it over and it's a $3 chip on the other side and you'd give it to me.
Screw that.
If you only had 1, you'd only give me 1.
Right.
So the harder you fight for something and you lose, the more you lose and give to the other person. And you do that for all of them. And then you count up how much money everyone gets. Also, if you take a card with money on it, you get the money. And then the highest player gets a +2 chip. The next person gets a +1. Third place gets a 0. And fourth gets a -1. And this game can play I think up to 6 or 7 players. They said never play it with more than 4 or 5. But it was wild. Because if you're playing a card down, and it felt very Lost Cities-ish, because when you play a card down, it's do I want to give someone else this card? Or do I want to try to hold it in my hand? Or do I want to play it in front of me? But then I can't really gain more of that card unless I top deck it off the top. So that's the total balance of this thing. It was really, really good.
I mean, I've heard great things about it. It sounds fun.
Yeah, I had heard of it, but I didn't know anything about it.
Do you think you could get it to 20 minutes?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You play 4 hands. You could, if you really knew what you were doing.
Through the whole deck 4 times.
Yeah, I mean, you basically, because there's only 4 of each of the chips. And yeah, it plays 3 to 7. It says best 4 on here. But yeah, 20 minutes seems absurd.
Sounds fun.
For this. Maybe 30, more like maybe 5 rounds of Rebel Princess-ish. So
30 to 45 minutes.
I think so. I think you could probably get it there. So anyway, that's what I played when I did that stuff.
I got just one I'm going to talk about. It's an older game, but I just have played it again for the first time in a long time, and it really, really held up, and that is Carpe Diem by Stefan Feld.
I love Carpe Diem.
I always knew I liked it, but
it's my second favorite Stefan Feld game.
It's just so good.
It's very good.
It's fast. I mean, you can play that game in 30 minutes.
It's one of the beigiest Felds.
Okay, it doesn't look the best, but it is... It's just there's just the right amount of things that score to keep every decision you make interesting, but there's nothing that really drags you down and takes too long. And I love the scoring mechanism of placing the discs, and you know what it's going to score all game, and it's a lot of fun.
There are 3 things that are supremely fun about Carpe Diem. One is the kicking back and forth to pick the tiles, and it's fun at 4-player where you take all the tiles. It's fun at 2-player where you eliminate tiles. That the second thing, placing the tiles on the board has this extra puzzle of trying to get buildings to cross certain axes on your board, which gives you literal points and initiative order for picking your objectives. The third thing is the objective picking is always wildly different because you have 4 decks you're picking objectives from, and you line them up on a grid, and when you choose objectives, you place a dot between 2 of the objectives. That is the one time that specific combo of the 2 objectives will score that game. And it's just awesome. I mean, I really think it is my second favorite Feld game. Well, hang on, because Civolution came out. So it's my third favorite. It's my third favorite Feld game, which I think at this point Castles of Burgundy still is my first, and Civolution is now my second. Even though I think Civolution's a 4-point game because it's such a feat of incredible game design. I think Castles of Burgundy still has the long-term staying power. That may swap one day, but Carpe Diem is great. Thanks for bringing that one up.
Another thing that I think is really fun about it too, the buildings, which are instant but smaller rewards, versus building the zones, which get you bigger rewards but require getting more specific tiles. It's just all good decisions to make, and mapping out where people can get. And then it's really interesting too that bread can just fill a requirement for you, so you have to decide how easy is it to get this requirement. Do I go for it, or just get bread and do it that way.
Or trying to do it like multiple times, because if you spend bread, you can only do it once.
Yep.
I mean, everything about it is great, and like you're absolutely right. There's like that line in the Tim Robinson show where he's talking about that place Dan flashes, and he's like, "I've never been to a store where everything in there I would wear," and that's kind of how I feel about Carpe Diem. Is like everything in this game I do want. I'm never like I always feel bad that I didn't get certain buildings because I got other ones, and which is nice because you have the fountains to kind of guide your game too, which is the secret scoring, which I guess I always want those more than anything else.
It's a really, really good game though. It held up well.
When you mentioned Civolution, I just saw that there's a Civolution expansion coming out.
Sheesh.
With 3 mini expansions, like 3 mini modules in it. One is starting attribute chips. So everyone starts with a different attribute.
Cool.
So I guess unique player power
player powers,
off the bat. Level 4 modules.
It's level 4 tech.
Yeah. And creature chips, which you can tame them when you hunt, and you get an immediate bonus, and then you can feed them.
Cool.
During the feeding phase for benefits.
I've played a couple times since our episode. I haven't played the game a lot of times, but it's still blowing me away how wildly different like the things I do each time. Because it's like so much of what you do is informed by like the scoring that you're going to see, but then also the starting hand you get means so much too. And so like this time I've never done like the button pushing and like the income tiles, and I went crazy on those. I would say if there's one thing that's kind of bumming me out, like the more I play, the more I feel like getting a bunch of ideas is always like kind of necessary, right?
Yeah, man.
But everything else, I think I get to do like really different stuff. How are you guys feeling about it?
Well, it's either you either need to do something that generates you more ideas, or do the thing that upgrades it to like give you more
planning.
Yeah, or do planning. Like you have to upgrade one of those two things, unless you want to just roll with exactly what you roll every turn. But I think you have to upgrade some mitigation, unless you want to just go luck sack it out.
I think you can luck sack with certain strategies. Like Jared, I played with Jared 2-player a couple days ago, and he did a strategy where like he got this ability where you get to like create resources. Like he had one ability that gave him like he had like hooves, and he could treat all like plains and like there's 2 types of like open areas like as like no spaces when moving from one space to the next. And so he basically, the way the board was set up, he could run across like 6 spaces from one to the other. He got another tech that allowed him to, whenever he entered into or left or landed on a space, create a item there, so he could just run back and forth and create like dozens of those. Which resources, creating like more resources than you need doesn't really do that much for you, because you can only score the diamonds once. But like I think if you're running like that kind of game, you don't have to like necessarily have all the dice you necessarily need, because then it's more about playing cards with your resources. But yeah, like if you're trying to hit specific actions multiple times, then you kind of got to have something to mitigate that dice roll, right?
Yeah, I haven't played it since we played it in
Civolution.
podcast.
Yeah. Should I talk about a game? Tim, you want to talk about one?
Sure. Yeah. So we played, was it Odin?
Odin.
It is a ladder climbing small box card game. I think it was in the $15 range. Not made by All Play, I don't think. But so there are 1 through 9 of up to 6 different colors, depending on how many players you're playing with. And essentially on your turn, you are laying down a card, start with 1, and then the next person around has to beat that 1 by laying either a higher card or 2 of a color, or you could play like 22, which would be 2 different colors. And you kind of climb that up all the way to the top. The big wrinkle is every time that you play, you would then essentially like scout. You would scout the card, but you have to scout. So you play on top and you have to pull a card back in. And so you're trying to gather either the right numbers or the right colors to continue to kind of ladder climb. And then once everybody can't beat something, all those cards kind of go out of the game, and then you start another round. And if you can start a round, if you can start a round with all the same color or all the same number, you then run your hand out. Otherwise, you're trying to run your hand out of the cards as you get them. But every time you play cards, you draw another card. So you're trying to draw in cards that also make your hand, and then play cards that you can kind of combine other cards in your hand. I really liked that. I thought it was really fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, super light, and
I think it was easier to teach than Scout.
I think it's easier to teach than Scout too. But there's tough decisions, and sometimes you decide not to do it. And yeah, it's nice. It's neat. I liked it.
Any of you guys interested in? I don't even know how you say it, but it's spelled Pergola. Pergoa.
Pergola.
Pergola. Is it Pergola?
I think so.
You mean the thing you build on top of your deck?
Yeah,
For
pergola.
shade.
That's a pergola, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it looks like it has the same art as Meadow. They're making it look like it's in the Meadow verse, but like it's not
Yeah.
by the designers.
You mean
of
like
Meadow.
outside?
Yeah, I do
No,
mean like outside.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It looks exactly the same.
It came to BGA. I'm playing it. It's cool. It's
Yeah, cigar. It's where you're like growing stuff underneath your lattice. Yeah,
it's about growing stuff like in a garden and in a lattice, and then also getting insects in there. The game has just one of those tried and true, very fun action selections where there's 4 actions that you can choose from. There's these little like strips come up, and they have 2 things on them that you get to do, and they're linked up kind of. What's the game? Cascadia style with like a bottom action, and in Cascadia it's tile and tile, right? But like these 4 things are static. They're like the 4 main actions of the game. So basically, on your turn, you'll take one, you'll get the 2 bonus things on it, and then you'll do the action it's connected to, and then a new stick comes up, and what you're doing is you're collecting flowers and insects and like moving the insects around. I think it's. I don't know if it's out yet, but I think it's like
It's out.
It's out. I think that it hasn't grabbed me the same way Botanicus did, as far as like I think it's about that level of complexity. But I think it's way easier for somebody to wrap their head around, and still quite fun for a gamer who likes heavier games. I would recommend everybody who plays on BGA check this one out. It just came to beta, so anybody should have access to it. And I think I made a post on our Discord about who wants to play this, and it was still in alpha, and I couldn't get everybody invited. So I'll send another invite to the people I didn't send out to. But I'm having fun with it.
looks very pretty.
Yeah, Pergola.
Yeah,
that makes way more sense than how did I say it? Pergola. Kind of the way I think everybody. I always say Agricola wrong too. I said it correctly there that time, right?
Agricola.
I always say Agricola. I think it's just because I like to drink cola.
Agricola, the best.
Yeah, it looks like it has like tracks and things you can can you like jump a frog around?
Yeah. So like the actions are like jumping a frog around to get stuff. Like the thing that's goofy about it is basically every action kind of does the same thing. Where it's like this is just like all of this is like just what it does for you is just gets you like flowers and animals or insects, and you like match them up, and then like the flowers all score differently, and then the insects all score according to like how they can like the types of flowers they like to be on. It's really a game of like I think maximizing a couple scoring strategies, but since you're at the mercy of like what comes up, you have to like I think just always kind of make the best choice for you. Pergola, it's pretty cool. That's what I got for today. I did mention to these guys that I played Twilight Inscription a couple times for the first time since the game, like the year the game came out, which I think was 2022, right?
Forever ago.
Yeah. And going back into it, a look back. We never did an episode on Twilight Inscription. Did we? Did we do an episode on Twilight Inscription?
Season 11, episode 8.
Yeah, I would be interested in hearing how we boinged it. To me, it was still very fun, but both of my games like played kind of differently, but they ended up in the exact same space. And I think that's because it just seems like the warfare part of the game is like way more work than it's worth. So you end up crushing the other 3 boards.
And they don't try, and then your benefits don't help you as much. The factions that have warfare abilities seem like they're a lot worse.
Yeah.
From my
because both times I was literally able to just like destroy the other 3 boards. And
me, Jake, Cam gave it a 2. Rob gave it a 1.5.
Yeah, I think I'm still at a 2 with it. I will say I like the markers.
Yeah,
those markers are cool.
You talked about Cheeto dust last time.
The Cheeto dust, yeah. And then the terrible thing is, I did a print and play on like laminated papers of a bunch of roll and writes that I want to play this weekend. But I let my brother borrow Twilight Inscription, so I can't use those little Cheeto dust markers for him, which I would have loved to.
Sad days.
Yep. Guess I'll have to get my own Cheeto dust markers.
Yeah, there's markers better than others. I know some Dice Tower people posted about. I should go find the brand.
Do people like
I have a
Faber-Castell?
bunch.
I like Faber-Castell, which is really like prevalent in other countries, not as prevalent in the United States, but they're cheap and they seem to be good quality.
Maybe. All right. Well, tonight on the podcast, we played Wroth. In Wroth, factions vie for control over the island of Wroth, and apparently they're 401ks.
Yes.
Sweet.
Or hey, maybe you guys have ever heard of a backdoor Wroth? You can do that
Spin-off.
Help a brother out.
on the backdoor
Yeah,
Wroth.
give it to me in the back door.
Wroth came out in
Got to pay the tax.
2025.
You got to pay the tax.
Wroth came out in 2025. It is currently 7.8 on Board Game Geek. Currently ranked 5,885th overall. 1 to 4 players, best at 4. 60-minute playing time. Ages 13 plus. The community says 6 plus. Because the weight is only 2.25 out of 5, which feels kind of low, but maybe not. I don't know.
I mean,
Knowing how to play isn't hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Being good at it is
Yeah.
probably hard.
The designer is also the artist, so cool for him, Manny Tremblay, and the publisher is Chip Theory Games. Jake, why don't you tell us what we do in Wroth?
In Wroth, we go through several different turns, and you go through, I think it's 6 different phases. The first one is maintenance, where you basically update the turn track. The second one is spoils, so if you happen to be controlling any regions that offer you actions, you can take those then. The third phase is where you are adding troops to your deployment zone, you are re-rolling your all-seeing die, and you're gaining a Cora. The fourth phase is you roll the dice, and then you draft them out, starting with the first player. Everybody will get 2 dice in a 4-player game, and the player who is in last place, if it's a one individual person, will get an extra die, which is kind of a cool catch-up mechanism, I think. Then the 5th phase is where you carry out your actions, again in turn order, where you're going to play one of your dice, or 2 if you want to do a special action. And then 6 is where you score points. So we go through each of the regions one by one, and you score points based on who controls it, and if they dominate the region because there's nobody else there, and then individual units will score you points as well. And you do that until one person scores 30 points, and that is the game.
All right, well, let's get to the table and come back with our thoughts on Wroth. We are back. Jake, why don't you start us off with your thoughts on Wroth?
Yeah, so I really, really love Cloudspire, which is a chip theory game, and I haven't played Too Many Bones, which is obviously their most popular one, but I liked Cloudspire, and I happened to see that they had another Kickstarter coming, and even though it is area control, which is not usually my jam, it looked really cool, and I thought, you know what, I'll back it. So I did. My first thoughts, I was excited to get it played. I was maybe not the biggest of fans after the first play, but I'm glad I got it played here again.
Yeah, I knew nothing about this game besides it was chip theory game, and you said you backed it. I would say first impression, it looks very different than most area control games. It's very vibrant and neon, which makes its table presence is quite good. And chip theory, so it's got like all the neoprene mats and all the dice and all the extra pieces. So yeah, that was a good initial impression on that.
Yeah, the game definitely pops. It's super bright, vibrant, and
Yeah.
it catches your eye.
Usually
And
these games are like, the fantasy games are like super dark and
Yeah, that's true. And it's I mean, it seems like the 80s bled all over it a little bit. Maybe some psychedelic shrooms. And just from the initial, like, I didn't really know anything about it either, and then I knew it was an area control game, and then from the Rodney video, I was like, oh, it feels like a fairly standard area control game with a couple of its own little twists. So I always enjoy unique player powers, and I saw that these existed here as well. So
I was pretty excited to play this one when I heard it was like an hour-long area control game, because those are usually the ones that appeal to me more. With that said, my favorite area control game is Rising Sun, probably. But like Like that's if I'm going to play like a long area control game. All of the other ones I've really loved have kind of been sort of like this. So I was looking forward to it. The factions and art really were eye-catching at the beginning for me. And so was pretty excited. And I don't think it disappointed me. I think it was a fun time the whole time through. And it was a thing I, that immediately caught my attention too was that like it stayed pretty even scoring wise until the end. I don't know if it's always kind of like that, but
It was not like that in the first game where I got smoked by everybody.
Hold on. It was even besides you.
That's true.
So, I mean.
But like the last turn was really meaningful. And like, I want to do pros before cons. So we can come back to kind of like how the game ends and some things that that popped into my head when the game was ending. But yeah, who wants to start on pros?
I mean, the pro is the art and the production and everything else like is very good. Like I have a little bit of a problem with how the board kind of looks and how you move it around, but other than that, like the game's vibrant, it looks good, it looks different, it sets itself apart from kind of your other standard orcs and witches type game. So and then Chip, all the components are great.
It really sets up and tears down pretty quick, which there's a lot of components, but the storage is really wise. The way it's set up, even though it's got a neoprene mat, it fits in the box, which is not something that you see very often from mats. You usually have to store those separately. So I think that's a nice touch. I do have the metal troops, which are super cool and add a fun little heft, but the plastic pieces that it comes with are really nice too. So I don't think that is a requirement for sure.
I like that every faction is like basically works the same except for a couple things that are different. Like there are special units and abilities. There's 2 or 3 of those, I think, on every board. And then 1 super ability that you pick from 3 things. Because I think if we could, it's not a huge con, but like if there was more stuff going on, I would have bothered me because, like everybody has their different units out on the board and you're like, okay, what does that do? What does that do? What does that do? I think this is like just the right amount of being able to sort of remember what people's stuff does.
For people who want like a wild, unpredictable game experience, I don't know that you can ask for much more than this in that the abilities are just crazy. I mean, it is broken upon broken and finding the right time to use those things. And that's a fun feeling sometimes. I think you got to know that going in that it's going to be a little bit unpredictable. But if you like that sort of thing, again, I think this is a really good fit.
I think the player aid's really good. You can really just teach straight off of that. One side's got the round structure, which lays out everything, and you don't have to, you won't really forget anything you need to do. And then the other side has kind of the like what all the iconography means for the actions. I will say one thing that I was kind of meh on during the game, but as the game came to a point, I do think I enjoyed the dice drafting. I guess it kind of depends on the roll. Like if you roll a bunch of the same thing, it's like whatever. But a lot of the times it's like, well, do I want to take this one dice because I don't want somebody else to be able to do that? But then also I'm kind of in the middle ground. Like I think it's to the point where this is such a light game. It's almost like I didn't remember what everybody's stuff did all the time either. So trying to remember what is actually possible was actually kind of hard for me. I felt like I only played one type of my dice and I had 2 different types. And then I had a third. I think everyone had 3 abilities, right?
I think so. Well, actually mine just had 2.
Okay.
But I had 6 dice for one of them. So
yeah, I mean, your trap made sense as far as like, I think some were easier to know what they did than others.
I think that absolutely is true.
Here's what I really liked about it. Even though the abilities and like special guys were pretty unpredictable, which I think is the exciting part of a game like this, the basics were very predictable, which to me always makes area control more fun because like I like to know what people can do.
There's no hidden information.
There's no hidden information in this game. And so you can noodle it as much as you want where it's like, okay, I know that Jake's final action is going to be an attack for sure. Now, do I want to spend the time thinking about what he can do like with his special stuff? Maybe, maybe not. But at least I know he's not going to be moving, And
I do think another really cool thing with that is the Exodus action. So you can look and see what dice people have, but if you spend 2 die, and 1 is not an action, it's like a bonus thing you get to do, but you can just discard those dice to do a really crazy powerful move, and move is pretty limited in this game. So it's nice that, yes, you can look around and know what they can do, but you do have a little more flexibility than your dice perhaps indicate without that. So,
but even then, like, this is probably more like it could be a con, prawn, whatever, but like, if you play with people that have to know about, you said it was kind of wild and crazy, but like for me, if you just spent the time and AP'd it, you would know exactly, like everything that's possible for everybody is all on the board, as long as you just want to go get it. Yeah. And I think we just didn't want to go get it because it's a little bit more effort.
Yeah, I don't think it's wild and crazy. I mean, there's no randomness to the fighting. Right. You know exactly what's going to happen, but it is kind of like a knife fight in a phone booth. Similar to Kemet, because everything's kind of touching each other.
Well,
and you can attack adjacent to where you even are, so you might not even have to move. And for me, that's the same thing. Like in my battle games, I like a little bit of randomness. I mean, or some choices, or something. The straight up, I remove that, you remove that, or I don't know if that is as interesting to me as if there was maybe like a card to play or this or that or something else, which I guess in the powers, there's a little bit of that, but then you got to remember what everybody's power does too all the time.
To me, there's not like, to me, when I'm trying to figure out a game with information like this, and there's a lot of like player powers and stuff, I'm never really trying to figure out like what people can do, because like there's a lot of things they can do. But what I like about this game is like a lot of times you can figure out what they can't do. And it's like, okay, maybe I didn't read their board exactly right, but like I'm pretty sure they can't move. So it's like I know that on my turn, like if I'm trying to control a couple areas here, but like and Tim's in those areas, like I see that he doesn't have an attack die, so I'm like, okay, well maybe he can put something out, whatever. Oh, he doesn't have any of that Korra stuff. Okay, well he can't deploy any of those guys, and he can't attack me. So whatever else he can do, like fine, but like I can really sort of make a pretty good plan in a short time based on knowing those things. So, and that's what I liked about it. It was like, yeah, crazy stuff is going to happen, but like I sort of can grasp a lot of it without having to think too hard.
It's also a really easy teach. Rob mentioned that the player aid is really useful, but also, I mean, basically you explain really briefly the quick phases, you talk about what each action does, and that's basically it. So, I mean, you could very much get underway in under 10 minutes, and that's nice too for an area control game, because sometimes they have a little more wrinkles and procedures that you need to follow with that. So, again, it's the playtime, I think, is definitely a pro as well.
Did we talk about the mouse pads and the like? I like when games do these mouse pad boards. They just stick to the table nice, and they don't slide around, and they have like they're a little squishy, and so you kind of it's just nice to have those. Like I'm not a huge like nice components guy. Like I don't need them to be like. I will say I'm really partial to like this thing that a lot of games are doing right now, where they just like screen print mouse pads, which must be cheap because I've never seen them like really increasing the cost of a game too much.
Well, I would guess the price on this game isn't like crazy expensive, even for the deluxe-y one. I mean, because it's not a huge box, and it's not like there's actually a huge number of components.
Mm-hmm. 25 troops for each one, but again, the basic one's plastic. I think it's 50, 55, somewhere in there.
It's 65 at Miniature
for
Market.
The fancy version?
At Miniature, I would assume that's without the metal pieces.
Yeah. I would assume so too.
Yeah.
Probably another $20-25 for those. Still under $100 for a deluxe premium game anymore.
I mean, I don't know how much Too Many Bones is and Cloudspire, but they're those hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, those are way more for sure.
It's got all the same components.
Chips
right?
are like the most expensive thing to make, probably as far as a game component's concerned. It's probably more than a miniature. Maybe not.
Cloudspire has a whole lot of chips.
I could be making
a whole
that
lot
up.
of chips.
Because I know like the initial cast and stuff to make a miniature is expensive. But then like when you make them en masse after that, I don't know that they're as much.
Well, should we move to cons?
I mean, I kind of already gave mine a little bit with my pros.
I mean, you definitely have to like area control games, and you can't be afraid to have games where you're interacting with other people.
Yeah, and I guess one more pro I have for it, and we didn't play it that way, but there's a cooperative mode. Like if you would rather play against like the AI. I don't know how that works, I guess.
So every faction, Matt, has a reverse side that is the AI, and it just kind of changes the actions a little bit. And then there are actually 3 cards for each faction that are the solo scenarios. So for each faction, there are 3. So that gives you quite a bit of options. But there'll be things like, don't ever let the AI score the middle region. Like control, like you have to stop them.
So it's like
that.
objectives, kind of.
And I think, well, at least some of the ones I've looked at, but they definitely change things, and then you basically some of the decisions are made based on the threat level. So you count up the amount of strength they have in an area, and that's the area they're going to target. Which you definitely have to be willing to work through that priority system, which is. A lot of solo games utilize, but if that's more effort than you want, then note that is the way that system works. But you definitely can play it solo, or you actually can play 4 players cooperatively against the bot if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
So for people that maybe aren't into area control but are into cooperative games,
I'll say a con for me is that like there's this weird drop zone thing, like your deployment zone that like stretches across the whole board. With it being, it's so like neon and everything kind of melts together, and I don't think the lines of where the zones are very good, and they kind of have like horseshoes, so sometimes it's hard to see like what places you can go from where, especially because I think once you get into it that you just know that if you're in the drop zone you can basically go anywhere you want besides the middle. But it just felt weird and hard to understand my first game. I just I could not grasp around like these blurred white lines that you could that's where you can cross at, and there was like bridges going across certain places, and I don't know, it seemed hard to grasp.
Yeah, I think I understood it because there was like the white line. I'm like, okay, everything inside the white line, like you can put your dudes anywhere. Like when you move them, you can like from your base, you can move them anywhere inside the white line except for the 2 center spots. And then once you're inside the white line, you can cross one line with a move.
Yeah, well, right? I'm saying the outside is so many different colors, and it's like so mixed together that it's not really clear that that's all one zone. Like I can go from the far left to the far right, and like tacking inside of them, and I just
it'd make more sense if you just left your guys like if you had like a supply and like a discard and like a reserve. But I think the reason you put them on the board is so that people can see how many dudes you have like ready to.
Yeah, or like, it's a little bit better, but like. If it was all just the water and everywhere was water and you had guys on boats in the water, and then you can see the water can just go everywhere or something like that. But like the board is half water and half not water, and it just makes it really confusing to where you can kind of start out at, which is really important. Right. So.
Yep.
Especially because movement is limiting. Like there's not that many options to move in a lot of cases, and if you don't understand, you can get to those areas. I definitely understand that. That was something that I wanted to verify because originally I thought, well, you can only go to the ones that are right next to you, but no, you have the ability to move anywhere in there.
Yeah, like there's a river that runs through one of the zones. It looks nice, but it I don't know. It seems confusing. Yeah. All right, I'll say my second con, which is how we played it by the rules the second game and not by the rules the first game. But so you score your big troops if they're just in a region, and I just think that seems not very cool. Like just having it on the board lets you score. Like you should have to have control of the region to score your guy in there. And I just
I've come to, because the first time we played it, we thought you had to control the region, so we didn't score those points. But I've come around to thinking that I like that quite a bit, just in the fact that it gives you different options to be competitive.
That's what I'm saying.
My people were getting muck ducks all over that board, and so the only way I was getting points was by having my big guys there. So it gave me a way to pivot that I wasn't just like out of the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think makes them more of a target as well, instead of just always trying to murk the little guys.
Yeah, I think scoring with your guys into the zone is a rich get richer situation. But also it's like it's subversive to like get your points dudes out on the board and have them in areas where they're like not a threat. Because it's like, oh, I don't need to attack Cam's guy there. Cause like I got that one guy popped down by where you were owning the place, and I just had only him there.
For the whole game.
Well, it wasn't the whole game, but I think it was 3 rounds I had on there. So that's just like 6 points I got for spending 2 of those Cora. And like once that guy scored for the first time, I was like, oh, I need to get another one of these guys on the board. I need to score some passive points. And I think that's like actually one of the smartest parts of the game. And I don't mean to like trample on like your con, but
I just think if it's going to be area control the area and then score points.
Yeah, that makes sense. But also, usually the guys who give you the more points are the guys with like the less good abilities too. So, like my nameless dude is what it was called. The guy who could just like destroy, like annihilate people, was worth 0 points on the board. And then the other guy, I could put him in like an enemy controlled area, but he didn't have a lot of health, but he was worth 2 points. And it's like, oh, okay, well, am I going to kill this guy that gives Ham 2 points? Or am I going to like kill some of his like ground troops and control the area and get 1 point for me, but he still gets 2 points? I don't know. I think it's smart, but I could see why you wouldn't like it or other people wouldn't like it.
I mean, it does kind of contradict that idea of area control, which is what it is. I mean, or I guess it contradicts the idea of what a lot of us think area control is. So,
and this is where I'm guilty of like trying to get philosophical in board game talk when it's really not that deep. But it's like, to me, like those guys are almost like like creating like they're like it's like something like it's subterfuge and in somebody else's area. It's like saying like, hey, I'm kind of contesting this area here. Like, yeah, you may own this land, but like I got a big guy like going around wrecking your dudes, so I'm getting points here too. And I don't know. I think it's cool. I think it's like it's almost like they almost take the place of like in a fast area control game. They almost take a place of like a like a building, or like a some type of target that you're building but they also have abilities. So I don't know. You're probably right, Tim, but
I mean, I don't have to be right. In 45 to 60 minutes, I want it to be area control and air control areas. And, if it kind of, I mean, maybe I just needed to be smarter with them. It just didn't feel like it. Like, I want people to have to control areas and say, like, well, I'm going to score all of my points by not controlling areas. And maybe that's the point of this. But
I mean,
like,
I don't think you'd win anyway.
I mean,
it just helps you along the way. You're going to have to control something at some point.
I mean, it could be a lot of like because my guys took 2 of that Korra stuff to get out, and let's just say that somehow I get 2 of those guys out the first round and 1 of them out the second round, and they never get killed. Well, that's 4 points, then 6 points, then 6 points, then 6 points, and 6 points. And I mean, that's a huge point gain. I probably only have to hold 1 territory. But like, what's to stop you then from putting all 3 of those guys in 1 territory with 10 dudes, and then somebody has to come in and like wreck them so you don't win. So I mean, I think it just adds like strategical depth to the game and gives some value to like maybe that card that I had that I thought wasn't good, but like what card lets you like destroy everybody in 1 area. Maybe it makes the game too based on getting those guys out. Like maybe I would just focus on that the next time I played.
It's also wild that in general you only ever do 1 damage, although every faction seems to have ways to do more damage. So like if you're ever doing just the base damage, you're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah, or just being really strategic with it. Like where is that going to lower a number? And I think that it's kind of a neat wrinkle too that the person attacking gets full ability to determine where that damage goes, unless there are abilities that say this has to take damage first or this takes damage last. But that's kind of neat too that you can think about, okay, do I want to get rid of the points or by reducing the numbers? Because even though some of those elite troops have high numbers of health, they still only count as 1 troop. So you can fight for the majority or try to fight the points back. So I don't know. I think it just gives it some flexibility in that, which
what I thought was so neat about that, and I know we're in cons, but like I kind of liked that you could attack like in where your guys are or adjacent. And like, so what I could do is I could like, instead of, if I had a lot of guys somewhere, I could like, I see Tim and Robert fighting something, I could just go like poke like to whoever's kind of in the lead there. Because to me, that's like, well, if these guys are tug of warring over this spot, it's like if I kill one of their guys, it's meaningful. Then that's less likely that they're going to come in here and fight me for my stuff. And so I thought that was a cool thing you could do in this game.
I think for another con, and in a lot of cases this is covered with area control in general, but it is definitely if you get a substantial lead, a lot can happen to you over the course of a turn. So there's no player elimination. You're always going to be able to deploy back into your area, but it's definitely a game that you got to be willing to accept that is part of the way it works. But I mean, there are a lot of games that are that way when you're competitive with
I can vouch for that. I got out to an early lead and I kept it for a while, and then at the end I couldn't do anything. On top of that, I think that there's also, because you can math everything out, there's a really easy king making scenario with this game too. possibly. I mean, once again, you can kingmake in a lot of games, but specifically in this, because you know what would happen if you did a certain thing. So yeah, it can be tough to be. You got to have some thick skin if everyone's coming at you. All right, should we get into some final thoughts?
I do have one con. I do think that when you're rounding the bags to the final round, whoever is going last is just kind of gonna have a easier chance to win the game. If it's close, if it's a close game.
It wouldn't have mattered for me. I couldn't do near the stuff you could do at the end.
Yeah, well, I guess maybe I just
you had so many troops on the board,
and I think that's just a special thing of like the Horde is like I was playing like the tons of troops faction. And I guess, yeah, if any of you guys had gone last, it may still not have mattered. It may still not have mattered if I'd gotten to do my Exodus move before you guys all had a chance to act, because I just got to move so much more stuff. I don't know, maybe that's not a con at all.
I think me personally, I think I was averse to fighting you just because you had so many people. And maybe that's just how it plays, but Jake didn't really attack you either. Jake and I beat up on each other quite a bit, and we got last.
I think Jake would have attacked me if I hadn't killed all of his guys every single round.
The second I moved into Cam's, I actually ended up in second. I was not quite as... I was still way behind Cam, but...
I just think that we shouldn't have been, or maybe I shouldn't have been nearly as scared of like Cam's necro ability of killing guys, because it does cost Korra, and Korra is a fairly rare resource to use. I didn't realize that as much at the beginning of the game because I just used the card that gave me 10 of it.
I think the faction would balance out in subsequent plays, but I think that I remarked in the middle of the game, it's like, I think the fact that you guys are afraid of me being able to do this is actually better than me being able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I think 100%. All right, well, it's final thoughts time here on the Board Boys podcast. We give a 3 Boing rating scale, 0 being the worst, 3 being the best. You can give a 4 Boing game 1 time. And a 0 Boing game of Wroth is you didn't save any money.
And you got all your troops killed, and you don't even get the 2 freebies in your deployment zone because they're all dead already.
Yeah, and you never get to retire.
Yeah.
Because you didn't save any money.
I want to say like all kinds of things. They cut Medicaid, Social Security, and like your life just goes to the toilet. Yeah, like
that has to do with this. Wait, what? Oh,
back to the
3 Boing game of Wroth is you maxed out your contributions like when you came out of college, and you retired at the ripe age of 35.
Mm. Wouldn't that be great to retire at 35 and then you'd have nothing to do and the ennui sets in and you just die at 36?
Sad.
Yeah, that's a 0 Boing game of Wroth, I think.
All right, Cam, why don't you hit us with your boings and final
So here's what's up. This game is getting a full extra point for me from the playtime. Because, like, if I'm going to play a game like this, I love the length. But I'm just trying to decide, like, how much I love it. Like, I can tell you that I don't think I'd love it very much if it was an hour longer, right?
This game would be terrible at 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I know for sure it's getting a 2, but I'm leaning. Like, am I giving it a 2.5? The answer is
Cam was deep in the Cam zone for just in strategizing and how you were going to maximize stuff out.
You know what? That's right. 2.5. I had a lot of fun. And also I think I was able to strategize and like play the faction the way it's supposed to be played without ever having played before. And without having to AP too much.
You didn't take too much time. Question, though, I'm curious because I just remembered. With your first action in the last round, you removed one of Tim's guys in an area that you weren't even in. What were you planning with that?
The goal was to see what happened with the other actions. And what I thought was, okay, if these guys come to blows here, removing one of Tim's guys makes them even. So if they fight each other, then I can possibly come in and take this one as well. So basically, it was a punt saying like, "Hey, I'm not going to show my hand for my last action." 2, I'm going to make it so these guys are neck and neck, so they're not coming for me, or they maybe fight each other, and I can come take the spot over. Those 2 reasons.
Okay,
which made sense, right? Because also I didn't want to kill your guy in my area because I was already winning it, but I wanted to reserve the right in most places to go do my like swap out thing. So. Mm-hmm.
I can go next. So again, I backed it. I thought it looked really neat, and again, I'm a really big fan of Cloudspire. Knowing going in that area control is one of my certainly not one of my favorite types of mechanisms, but for what it is and for the length and for the kind of the wackiness of the factions, I think I do like it enough. So I think I'm going to give it 2 boings. I'm certainly would be willing to play it more, but I do think you probably got to have the right group who's going to be understanding of the kind of the wildness of how much it can turn. But it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I'm going to say this game is mediocre. I think I don't know. I'm struggling to think of an area control game that I would rather play this over. Like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Kemet?
I think I'd rather play Kemet.
With the tech trees that are super advanced and you don't know them and other people know better than you. And
I mean, like, I think the only redeeming quality, this is not the only, this game is middle of the road, right? Like, is that it's an hour. And that makes it bearable. But if this game was 90 minutes or 2 hours, like, there's 1,000 games I'd rather play. I'm going to give it 1.5. Maybe it will change on playing some more, but it just feels like this game was very similar to the other game, even if we played, like, it felt the same. Not that the powers are different, but like, it played out the same. It kind of like, the same faction won, right? I don't know that it would be feeling different, if that makes sense. I think it's just a lot the same. And since it's an hour, maybe it's okay, right? That's what happens, but I don't think any games would feel different.
Yeah, I have a lot of the same thoughts. I think that I like the fact that the game comes to a point, like, it can't just drag out. Like, there's points every round. The game is always going to run about the same game length. You know when that's going to happen.
Hey, real quick. So we played 5 rounds. We played 5 rounds the first game too.
I think so.
Yeah. So one player got to go first twice, right? In the last game. Okay. Yeah. So we exact same rounds. 2 games.
I think it's had to go first twice.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sure. But yeah, whatever. But yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm kind of have the same feelings. I think that this could be a good one for a group, like, to open the night with and play a bunch. Like, if we enjoyed this and we played it, like, every time, like, I think it gets, like, super competitive. Like, it's not as good as, like, a Root as far as that goes, I think, but along the same lines, like, different factions, different strategies, things like that. So I could, like, in a small game collection, I feel like this could be a decent one to hit the table a bunch with a game group. I think I'm going to do like a 2 with it because it was solid and I do enjoy it's on the lower 2, I think, for me. Like, it is just kind of like a okay game. I compared this in the middle of it to another one, which it's not super similar. It's because it's area control and it runs about the same length, Sardinia, that I've talked about before. And I would always play Sardinia over this one.
There's a lot more wrinkles for Sardinia.
Yeah, and it's like a teeny box, which is really cool. But as far as, like, if you're talking about game length, I think I like Sardinia better than that for an area control game in the same length.
Yeah,
I guess.
Did I give that one the highest score?
Mm-hmm.
And I think, just to be clear, I think if I was giving, like, decimals, this would be like a 2.26 for me, which is why I went to 2.5. But it's funny because, like, I gave this the highest score, and I think I like area control games the least. So that
it's bottom mechanisms for me.
Okay, so
yeah,
but I'm not crazy about area control. Like, if I like every mechanism, but if I listed out my favorite mechanisms top to bottom, like, area control probably would be the last one on the list as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you went off this, Jake, just solely because you like this company.
I like Chip Theory and I like the game I have by him. So, and I knew what it was going in, but it just seemed interesting looking at the things, and I decided to roll the dice on it. So
I mean, it's probably the only area control game in your collection.
I mean, Twilight Imperium.
Sure, okay, but
Twilight Imperium is a game that has area control in it, but it's not an area control game.
Yeah. I agree.
In fact, you could have 0 objectives based on area control other than Mechatol Rex, which, of course, you do need to control that.
I have one last question about our first game. Did you go first in our first game?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so the winner of the game
went
last and was the Orcs for both games. So,
although in the first game, though, you 3 were 1 point away from each other, though,
sure.
right? Like,
so still one.
I mean, sure, you did, but I'm just saying it wasn't like it was a slam. Cam was way ahead.
I just dabbed too, if anybody cares.
Well, I smoked the last turn. I wasn't way ahead of you guys going into the last turn. I was just like, oh, the Horde gets to go last, and I was like looking at my opportunities, and I was like, it's great to be the Horde here in this situation because I have, like, all my guys on the board. I can Exodus them and then just go take over all these areas. I have 3 of this Korra stuff, so I can put out one of my guys to score 2 points. There's 2 points there. I can swap a person out to make sure I area control a thing. It just all came together like anyway. Yeah, I'd be interested to see if this would stay at a 2.5 for me if I play it more. But my favorite thing in area control, if you love open information, like that's what the best thing about this game. Plus, I do think that like the small little things about it are actually really cool, but other people at the table didn't like those things. So, like, such as your guys like scoring points, even if they're like just for not being dead and stuff like that. So,
Hold on, I was the only person that didn't like that. So
you guys all did like that? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess you guys did. Yeah. So
This isn't entirely different from what Rob said earlier, but I think this would be a good game to play at a con if you want that kind of interactive fighty experience that doesn't take a super long time. So,
I mean, it's definitely quick to get into.
Yeah,
And you could teach this game super fast if you wanted to.
for sure.
Because you don't really have to dig that deep into stuff because everything's there.
Mhm.
And if you're a gamer that's played a lot of games, you could just probably look at your player aid and figure out most of the game.
Yep, I definitely agree.
you guys know what my favorite area control game is? Dice Wars. You guys remember Dice Wars for like Flash, where that Flash game where just like put a bunch of dice like in like a randomized board. You guys don't know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Hang on, let me show you a picture of it, and you'll be like, "Oh yeah, that."
Mine is Strike.
Dice
that
Wars
area
isn't a
control?
board game.
Talking about dice games, what?
Oh, I was like, is that area control?
No, I mean, as far as you're throwing dice in a bowl and
What's
trying
the
to
other
like,
version?
if
What's the
you
other
guys
name for
don't
it?
remember this
Gladiators in the
game.
arena.
yeah.
I have
Nope.
no
You guys
idea.
The,
never
uh,
played that? Oh my gosh.
Strike is the other one that I took, and it was a huge hit at the conference. That because you just like, here's some dice, start throwing it in here, and this is what you're trying to do. And when you empty the bowl and like have to make the next person throw all their dice in, everyone just like, there's so much cheering and yelling when you play that game. It's fun. All right, Campbell, I failed at singing the song the last 2 episodes. So why don't you go ahead and hit us with the bumper dump?
This is why, guys, you don't do episodes without Cam. Here it is. This is the only reason. Baby, turn around. I wanna see that sexy board game go. Board boys bump.
Or dump.
See that part? That's all you, baby, right there.
We actually just pasted it 10 times. And that was the whole song was or dump from Rob. Yeah.
Man, I should have just copied it. I just need to copy and paste that and edit.
From Cam.
Yeah, then you guys can just kick me off the podcast. Although I don't know if you guys can because I'm the only surviving original member. I think if you guys kick me off the podcast, I can sue for the name, and then you guys have to be like friends of the boys who play board games podcast.
Yeah. Here, like you'll sue and you'll get the negative equity of the company.
Yeah.
Right.
Although Mike Love was able to use, but Mike Love, all the people who fought over the Beach Boys, which is the other double B, the boys, you know, Mike Love and Brian Wilson and Al Jardine were all still alive at that point. And Mike Love plays as the Beach Boys, and Brian Wilson and Al Jardine would play as like Brian Wilson and friends.
All right. So we'd like to look 1 year in the past at a game that we reviewed at the time. We did Inventions by Lacerda. So at the time it was 8.2 for 1258. Is now 8.0. Bumper dump.
Bump.
I didn't play the game.
I'm sure it was a bump.
It's a bump. It's 807. Not a huge bump. I would say none of us have played this game since.
No, it is forgettable.
Yeah.
I sold mine pretty much instantly. I was trying to think as soon as Tim reminded us that this was the game, I was trying to think of how many of the actions I remembered the weird things that went with them, and basically none of them. So I know I had the question of could you ever pull this game out and like remember those or those things that just aren't intuitive.
And the answer is no.
The answer is no. I mean, I know that you where you put your little spindle and you can't do the same joint actions, but
I think that's pretty much every Lacerda game, though.
Is Lacerda the Board Boys Collective like least favorite celebrated designer?
He's mine for sure.
He's mine too, and I like some of his games a lot, like On Mars and The Gallerist and Kanban. But like all the other ones are like, I don't care if I ever play these again.
But people love Lacerda. I mean, Lacerda is one of the vaunted high echelon
I have
guys.
never played Lisboa though. Who
the
are
other
your
one-
guys' least favorite?
The other one
highly
came to mind
celebrated?
with Shem.
Shem Phillips.
Yeah,
oh,
that's the other one that comes to
Yeah,
mind.
Shem. Yeah,
I don't
but
think
is
Shem Phillips
highly
is the
celebrated.
same as,
Yeah.
as
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Like
but-
Shem is prolific in that he has like a ton of games that were popular, but I don't think anybody like stakes their reputation on liking Shem Phillips. Whereas like Lacerda is kind of like for the grognards, right?
Cool. Well, if you want to give us your feedback, you can do so through our Board Game Geek Guild. You can find that on our website. We got 2 replies. Jeremy Dobler, they had a I don't know, he talked about it on the Discord a bunch, where they had they went through and played all the Lacerdas. Yeah. This is one of the later ones. He said it was one of the more dense ones, and just like one of the main components in the game is a game of concept and ideas. It's a bit more abstract than others, like the Gallerist and Venus. He said this is layered into fairly straightforward worker placement, and while he enjoyed it, we didn't connect strongly with the product produced, as it felt more back-end tech tree of any Civilization game without paying off and seeing, your own empire conquer the world. He says it's probably 1.5 Boings compared to other Lacerdas, but he's going to give it a 2 Boing. He's a Lacerda guy. So Cam would say, what, Cam?
About what?
Grognard, right? Is that
Grognard?
Yeah, you're going to call Jeremy Dobler Grognard?
No.
I would agree. The other one, BJ from Board Game Go. So he said he agrees with Jeremy, 1.5 Boings. Honestly, don't remember much about his play, except that I'd rather play other Lacerdas like Lisboa, Kanban, Venus.
See, easily forgettable.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that to go back to the last episode's discussion about me rebuying games, I did rebuy Escape Plan from Lacerda. So I do want to get that played again soon, because I really liked that one. And it's
Why'd you sell it?
I don't know, because I got a lot of money out of it, I guess, and I have a lot of games.
I saw you got the used copy.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
And as far as the resale value on his games goes, that one is on the low, way low end, because not as many people like it. But it's the lightest one, and one of the ones that makes the most sense to play. Plus, it's a fun theme. Who doesn't want to rob a bank?
Yeah, I have Speakeasy coming.
Yeah,
I kickstarted Speakeasy.
You and Jeremy Thoman did that.
So that'll be at the end of the year.
I am excited to play that one because I thought that theme looked tight.
The theme's cool, and it's worker placement with all kinds of other stuff, but extra stuff too. But you're basically all you're doing is placing worker, which, Inventions kind of was a little bit of work, but there was all kinds of other weird edge cases.
None of the other actions. There's just steps that you would never remember unless you're looking at the thing. There were things I like about it. It just didn't all come together for me. I think it's probably the best way to describe it.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to another episode of the Board Boys podcast, season 17, episode 1, Wroth from Chip Theory Games. Go to theboardboys.com for all the cool links. You can join our Patreon from there and support us. You can give us 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. I just gave us 5 stars on Spotify. I figured out how to rate on Spotify.
Where it says stars, you press the star thing. Yeah.
I'd never noticed that before. So some of my fellow people at the conference, I found it when I was at my conference. I'm like, yeah, go rate me. He's like, I got to go listen to it first. I'm like, do not
start at episode 1.
Yeah. And no, don't rate bomb me, because he's like a hacker dude. So anyway, you can join us, our Discord from there as well. Get the links. I would like to thank our patrons now: BJ from Board Game Gumbo, Timothy Crisco, Shifty Teeth, Jordan Smith, Andre Bosch, Braden Dowdy, Rob Cooper, Richard Lane, Matt Kelly, Portland Gamecraft, Terry Ward, and Jeremy Thoman. Thanks again, everybody, and until next time, we hope you like board games.
Boing, boing, boing.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.